beautiful life. I'm Angel. So tonight I kind of just wanted to do like a talk session. It's not necessarily an event, but just in general, and I want to make that known before I even start, that it is in general, and it's just, I kind of want to make this like a thing, whatever I feel like is needed, to talk about certain situations that we, especially as young people, can go through. And yeah, so tonight's topic is just when to end friendships, when to end relationships, situationships, and kind of like indications that you need to head in that direction, or like what to do, so I feel as though, like I said in my get to know me video, I never actually was in an actual relationship, but I have been in situationships and like talking to people, so I feel as though I can put my 2 cents in this. So just wanted to make this kind of like, casual talk, and yeah, so first starting out, whenever I decide to even go down a path of ending a friendship relationship, is I start to try to be like observant, and I observe the person's behavior. And like one of the first indications to me is like a distance, and it can be like an actual physical distance, or it could be like you could be in the room with the person and it's still kind of just like they're not 100% there with you. And my first thing is, whenever that starts to happen, or if I feel as though it's happening, is to have a conversation with them. Kind of ask them, what's up? Like, kind of feel like we're not vibing, we're not on the same page. And, I just want to, like, see where your head is, see where you're at in life, try to see what's going on. And, it's better to ask than to assume. And usually, typically the first reaction is to say, everything's fine, everything's good. But if you continue to notice the behavior, that's when you need to start to maybe consider another conversation, or consider going down that path of ending the friendship relationship. But it can be too soon at that point. So next is kind of like, if you start to, like, if a person starts to tell you that they're busy all the time, or like they're making it seem as though they're busy, but then you see them constantly out with other friends, out with other family members, and it's just like, are they truly busy, or are they just too busy for you? And if that's the case, you bring that to their attention as well, and it's kind of just like, hey, like, I understand we're all adults, and you can't spend every minute with a person, you can't be with them all the time, you can't text them or be on the phone with them all the time, but when it comes to people being, especially people who are supposed to be close to you, then you make time for those people. And if you can't, and you start to notice that person's perfectly fine with being away from you, or being okay with not being in contact with you for like several days, maybe weeks or months, and like they're perfectly fine, or they're starting to live their life without you, then you need to reevaluate what your meaning is to them in their life, or where you stand with that person. And those are like the first 2 things that I noticed. Now, once I start to feel some type of way, I make steps towards confronting the issue. So I'll try to have a conversation with the person, and I have a 3-strike rule. And my strikes are for like really big problem, big mistakes, big issues. Because sometimes little things happen, and they're like little petty things that you can get through, you can fix. And if that's the case, that you can end up becoming either friends again, or getting back in a relationship, situationship. But if they're really big issues that is kind of like borderline, you don't know if you're going to be able to fix this kind of situations, then you need to look towards ending that friendship, ending that relationship. But first I'll do a talk with a person, and it's always important to not assume and not try to tell a person what they're thinking or what they're feeling. So you tell them how you're feeling, whether it's how you are emotionally, or how you're feeling about them, and then you see how the person reacts to that. If they're quick to be like having a listening ear, and I've talked to some of my other friends, some guy friends that I have, and especially when it comes to the opposite sex, because it can be really hard to have conversations sometimes, but they made it clear that it's important to always have an open line of communication. And if you're not able to have that open line of communication, that automatically there's an issue there, because if you can't talk to that person, who else are you supposed to talk to? So when it gets to that point where you can't have a conversation with them, then it's like as if your opinion doesn't matter, then they're not respecting you, and in that case you need to go. But if they're having a listening ear, and they decide, all right, I'm gonna hear you out, and if they also decide to try to make steps to try to change behaviors or things that you may say you're not like, you don't like, then there may be hope, and it could just have been miscommunication. But that's the first time. If you get to the second time, then it's kind of like, all right, this is the second time. We already had this conversation before. I'm gonna have it again, but this time is kind of more of it's not a warning this time. Now it's like either you're gonna get on track or we're done. And this will tell you how much respect the person has for you, because if you have to continue, or you feel as though you're starting to beat a dead horse, you're starting to have the same conversations, or the same actions are still occurring, or same behaviors are still occurring as if you didn't have a conversation with the person, then they don't respect you. And at that point, that's not even a friendship, that's not even a relationship, and you need to ghost, you need to go. But usually that's why I give the 3-strike rule. So they can't sit there and say, oh, you gave up on me so quick, or you didn't really care about me, you never really did. You gave them 3 chances to act right. So second time comes around, they may have changed for a couple weeks or months, and you realize that you're right back at the same situation again. At this point, the cards are on in your hand, or whatever, however the saying goes. It's in the decision that everything is in your hands at this point, because at this point they're gonna see how you react. They're gonna see what you decide to do. Are you going to demand respect, or are you gonna let them walk all over you? At this point, that's when I decide to usually end the friendship, end the relationship, and you have to at this point decide how you're gonna do it. Sometimes you can have a sit down and come to a mutual agreement to end a friendship, end a relationship. And sometimes you just have to go. Sometimes you just need to just cut it off with no explanation, because trying to get closure can end up making things more messy. So you have to decide, and this is when it becomes your decision. You have to make that call of whether you can have a sit down and talk with this person, or if you just need to end it and keep it pushing. Because at this point, it's a matter of what you will and will not allow, and a person will only do what you allow them to do. So I guarantee, if things were flipped and you were doing this to that person, they would have been left. But it's because chances are, if you're in this type of situation already, it's because you have a big heart, and you chances are see yourself with this person, or you see yourself being in each other's lives for a very long time, and you have so much hopes and dreams, and you have such a big heart, so you just want to see the good in everything. You hold on to all those good memories. But it's like and sometimes also I've done where I've done the pros and cons list, but that's sometimes that you can end up leaving stuff out when you really want something to work. So it's in your hands at this point. You have to decide whether or not you're going to take steps in the direction of standing up for yourself and demanding respect, or if you're going to keep allowing this person to walk over you. Because after this third big time, they're gonna start respecting you. It's gonna get to the point where they're gonna be like, yeah, whatever. We keep having this conversation. We've had this conversation so many times. Like, all right, like I already know we're gonna stop talking for a couple days, couple weeks, maybe months, and we'll be right back in each other's life. And it is what it is. I just gotta wait for this person to get over it. You do not want to be in that situation, because at that point, that person has no respect for you, and they'll start to do whatever they want, and they'll start to try to walk all over you. They'll start maybe even being disrespectful right in your face. So this is where you come in. You have to, we as queens and kings deserve respect, loyalty, and love, and all that comes with being a king and queen. And if a person cannot respect that, if a person does not want to give you that, then they can just go ahead and leave while they're at it, because we're heading towards a positive direction. We are building ourselves up, and it's better to get rid of those negative people and people who you have to question where you stand with them now, than to be thinking that you have it all figured out and to be hit from the side later on in life and have all this stuff come out of nowhere. So it's better, and even before you even get to this point, it's better when you're even starting friendships and relationships to let your intentions be known from the beginning. Make sure that you're on the same page with a person. And that's what I try to do with every like friendship relationship that I do. And I've been guilty of having hopes for certain friendships and relationships where I was like, yeah, you know, they're into me, but not enough to be in a relationship right now, but maybe that'll change. And, you know, I try to convince myself that I was okay with what we had at that time, because it was better to, for me, my mentality was, it was better to have part of them than to not have any of them at all. And that is the worst mentality to have, because I couldn't even see my worth at that time. Because if had I seen my worth, I would have known, and I would have been like, you know what? You may not want to give me what I want, but there are plenty other people who want that spot, who want to give me that without me even having to ask for it. And I would have kept it pushing. But that's why we're young and we continue to grow and we continue to learn. So you have to learn and keep building. You have to keep learning about yourself, and you have to learn what you will and will not put up with. And that being said, you have to let them know, hey, either you get with the program or you're leaving, because I don't do half-assed. I don't do you showing up when you want to. I don't do you texting me when you get a little moment and you laying down and you realize you bored and, oh, let me go ahead and text this person. I am top priority or nothing at all. Because there are plenty of people out here who will give you what you want, who see your value. And I just wanted to, you know, instill that and talk about that. And I hope that this message helps somebody, because I've been there. I have been in a place where it's kind of just like you just want to hold on to that friendship and that relationship because you're just so comfortable. You have so much history, but it's just like, it's not worth it. At some point it becomes, when the person starts to disrespect you, it's not worth it anymore. It's not worth giving up your integrity and your respect for yourself and your self-worth because it starts to make you look at yourself differently. You start to look at yourself like, dang, well, I must not care about myself this much. If I'm letting a person get away with doing this to me and I know I don't like it, then I must not, like, there's something I need to change. Because if not, it causes a lot of resentment. So it's better, you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And if that means cutting off certain people, ending certain friendships and relationships, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do to get to where you need to, and you're headed, you know. And that's what I've been doing a lot of self-evaluation. I've been thinking about past relationships and friendships, and even going into my new friendships and relationships. You know, I'm trying to make sure that I create boundaries. It's an important from the jump to create boundaries and stick to them. Because I've also been in situations where, you know, a person has made it clear what they want or said what they wanted, and I try to respect those boundaries, and then it kind of gets crossed. But then afterwards, they want to try to shove you back in that boundary, and it's just like, that's dead. Like, that's already done. We're already past that. Like, we're not going back there. And it's sometimes you can't go back to where that boundary was, because you've already stepped past it. So, you know, you just wanna do some self-evaluation, and you wanna make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people and you're headed down the right road. And, you know, by all means, there's some people who are okay with certain situationships and stuff like that. But for those who are looking to head towards something more and want long-lasting friendships, long-lasting relationships, you have to let your attempts be known from the beginning, and you have to stick to your word, because at some point, either you're gonna get what you want or you're gonna continue to be disrespected. So I just hope that this video helps somebody, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe, like, and comment. Share my video with everyone, family, friends, mothers, sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles, and everybody. And I just thank you for watching and supporting, and have a nice night.